This is the new American media. And I just want to take a quick second and let everybody know that if you're not following us on Twitter, please do so. It's very easy. We're at American_media_. Search us on Facebook, The New American Media. Check out the homepage, thenewamericanmedia.com. And check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/The New American Media. We're coming up on our unofficial 2-year birthday. And it's good times. I think we're unofficially adopting the NFL draft as the official birthday, and we'll just stick with that for the next several decades. We're joined with John B. Wells. You can listen to him on Coast to Coast AM every Saturday night, occasionally filling in on additional nights as well. And you can check out his homepage. He sells some handheld radio. Oh, how do we say this? John, say it for me. Give me the pitch.
Radionuclide detectors.
Thanks.
They're Geiger counters.
I appreciate the assist on that one. Yeah, those things. Go check them out, caravantomidnight.com. John, I want to bring something up because you were talking about this a second ago, and we really just glossed over it. I want to go back like a laser beam. Monsanto. We can talk genetically modified foods first if you kind of want to share with us what you've been gleaming over the past several months of guests and conversations you've had at Coast to Coast and in your personal life and your own research into genetically modified foods, and then bring it back home to this West Texas explosion with the fertilizer plant. That's a really interesting one you kind of tossed out there as something you've been hearing around.
Well, now, I'm not a chemist, but it is my understanding that really beginning in the 70s, this is when these genetically modified foods began being released into the public. And there's an additional protein present in some of them that, it's like 80% of Americans are overweight. Well, I wonder why that is. And it's because of this. It does tend to get your attention that there are these huge seed banks stored near the Arctic Circle over on our side of the world, and then there's another one over near Norway and north. And those are all pristine seeds. So the genetically modified food, I'll tell you something. I really believe that the reason that we're doing this, did you hear the story some months ago about the number of suicides in India?
Oh, yeah.
Because their crops failed. Something like 120,000 people off to themselves because they were so despondent. It was either that or starve. And the story is that some of them drank the insecticide that destroyed their crops.
Right.
It's
I believe it was a lot of cotton farmers as well. I know that was one of the big things, cotton farmers.
Oh yeah, but these were actually food crops as well.
Right.
And look, we're pushing up toward how many billion people do we have now? A lot of them.
So, yeah, that's a good number. 7 or 8, something like that.
Yeah, we're at I think 7 and counting. I heard 6 some time ago. Actually, it increases so rapidly that I don't know, but they're saying 10 billion by 2025.
Well, I get the number confused, John, with 17 trillion on the credit card with the national debt. So, I mean, billion, trillion, who's counting at this point? A lot is the
Oh, don't
right
let that bother you. That's just a few more zeros. Right?
Yeah, fiat. Yeah, we'll just print some more. It'll be fun.
You get me thinking about so many things without taking copious notes. I'll go off down another path. But anyway, you want to talk about GMOs?
Yeah,
and
you're
so
talking
forth.
about everybody in India, the people committing suicide. They're messing with the way we've been feeding ourselves for how many thousands of years, and everything's starting to change.
Food is that's the ultimate way to control people. And I really, when I see what the leaders of this world do or get sucked into, or who knows? Maybe it's Satan pulling their cord, and making them do it. I don't know. All I know is that these things happen. When you see the absolute everything from just general population annihilation to actual genocide, where you pick out a specific race to annihilate, over the years, you go, okay, well, what's the best way to manipulate several billions of people? Well, that's to control the food, without a doubt. You can't make bullets fast enough to do the the damage that a good bout of worldwide starvation would produce. That'll knock your population down real quick, particularly the upcoming generation, because excuse me, because the babies won't make it. So why would a company want to control every seed that is available to grow anything with? It takes me back to a book by John Brunner, actually two of them. One of them called Stand on Zanzibar, and the other one is called The Jagged Orbit. And it foretells in that book. I mean, John Brunner I think he's every bit the writer that he just passed away. Not Roddenberry, not Heinlein, but Farenheit 451. His name is gone at the moment.
Oh, I was thinking Kurzweil, but that's not where you're going.
No, who wrote Fahrenheit 451? Oh, my God, I can't believe it. Ray Bradbury.
Yeah.
Yeah. These guys were writing what we're living now. We just don't realize that we're living it because only those of us who are old enough to have read these science fiction stories back then when we were impressionable and in school and high school and so forth, we're the only ones that are going, wow, all that stuff that he wrote about really did come to pass. And Fahrenheit 451 was published in 1950. And all that stuff about communication connects everybody, and yet it divides everybody, and great big interactive TV screens and the elimination of even so much as front porches because they don't, the society in general discourages persons from doing too much interaction, too much communication. They want to keep them divided. Just feed them from the TV screen. It's amazing how many of these writers hit it right on the head, and we're living it now. But notice how much of that sort of literature is being taken out of the schools. I mean, there is a huge movement afoot here to reset everything. I mean, a la THX 1138, practically. Taken to an extreme, that's exactly how it would be at the present rate of development.
And they call that the technocracy, right? The technocracy, where it requires fewer and fewer workers to get by, to keep the rich living in luxury. So you got to thin out the herd a little bit. And yeah, you're talking about Fahrenheit 451, Ray Kurzweil, George Orwell. Go back to the Bible. I mean, we've been warned by great authors throughout history, John. Are we paying attention to history, or are we just going to close our eyes and repeat the same mistakes? That's the question.
I think there's a self-destructive component built into the human being, which what aids in making our dichotomy in our personality and our very nature so pronounced. And that is, on the one hand, we'll struggle like a rat in a toilet after somebody just hit the handle to stay alive, and yet what we're actually doing is everything we can to destroy ourselves as a society. We just keep doing things that, or someone does these things to us, and we participate in the society as it's presented to us. Therefore, we're doing it to ourselves. But we know that these things in our foods are not good for us. The high fructose corn syrup, terrible. Partially hydrogenated oil, it's not good. And they wonder where all these diseases come from. Well, it comes from your food, your water, and your air. That's where they come from.
Hence your website, Caravan to Midnight. Check out what's in your food, your air, your water. See how irradiated you are becoming. No, I don't want to be a guinea pig, John. I don't want to be the first one to take a vaccine. I don't want to be the first one to take a pill. I don't want to be the first one to eat a genetically modified diet without 7 decades of research to see what happens 2 generations down the road to my offspring. I don't want to do it. I'm completely not interested in it. And when you see the power and control grab that's going on, just trying to, well, it's just power and control. I want to control everything, then I'll have all the money and all the power, and no matter how good you are, it can be a malevolent force. It's when you're all powerful and omnipotent, omniscient, John. A corporation, a politician, a religious leader, doesn't matter. If you control everything, that's really not a healthy place to be, and it's an unhealthy place for us to allow corporations and political figures and religious figures to get, where we become so vulnerable we can't even take care of ourselves anymore.
Well, it's just like Lord Acton said, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, meaning everything in every way.
Right.
And, there are some people who just, they live for that, and they find their way into government. They find their way into, if they want to be just prosperous, then they'll run their own companies. But if they want to serve the people, I think many of our politicians start off wanting to serve the people, but they're humans, so they're tempted, they get pulled into things. Your work begins to shape you after a while, and so they're going to have their agendas. And every once in a while, you get somebody in there that already has an attitude and wants to get into politics so that they can, on a mass level, execute the actions that attitude will bring forth.
So maybe like the Cass Sunsteins, these czars that like to nudge people and play massive experiments on hundreds of millions of people to alter human behavior and mold humanity in your image. It's essentially a way of playing God through legislation.
Exactly so, and they do it, and they do it on every level that they can. I mean, people. I think it's part of the human being to want to manipulate and control others. I mean, certainly not everybody. There are exceptions to everything. But most people want to, they certainly at least want to be in charge of their own lives, and even if they comply with a tough boss or a tough relationship, whatever that relationship might be, they still maintain their own attitude toward being controlled, and they resist it. Internally they resist it. They may still go along with it, but still inside they resist it. Everybody wants to be in charge, at least of their own lives, but there are a lot of people out there that they think that they should be in charge of your life, and it goes back to the earliest pages of recorded history. It's just how it is.
Well, and that's what's so beautiful about the American system. It's supposed to be a charter of negative liberties, the things that you cannot infringe upon, such as the Second Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, but for some reason, people keep trying to infringe. It's not like there hasn't been a car accident today where several people have died. It happens every day, and it has since the invention of the automobile, but there's no massive push to ban automobiles. That's just as dangerous a weapon if you go up on the sidewalk. And it just makes me think. I always question the motivation of anybody attempting to weaken me, John. That's why I've taken this whole gun control debate so personally, because it's not gun control, it's people control, and the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. And the country really seems like it's on edge right now. It really does, and I don't know where we go with this, except we've seen a couple explosions in the past week. And to wrap up this Monsanto thing, tell me about this Texas explosion and the theory, because I haven't heard this one yet. And it's not that you're pushing this as fact. It's just that it might be connected some way where we can do some additional research ourselves.
Well, actually, while we've been talking here, I've been trying to find that blurb, and I'll continue to, but the upshot of it is that this, apparently, if I have my story straight, and I believe I have it sufficiently straight, this company in the city of West in Texas took Monsanto to court, and it appears that they won. But I'm not sure what they won exactly, so I really shouldn't talk about it right now, because the fact of the matter is, Brian, I don't have enough information on it to sound like anything other than what I am, clueless.
Hey, you know how I sounded, John, yesterday at 2:30 in the morning, a little delirious, having a long day and knowing I'm going to have an even longer day the next day, not getting sleep, trying to cover stuff off of a police scanner from 2,000, 3,000 miles away in Boston. You go with the best information that you have at the time. You try not to be too reckless with it, and you just say, hey, here's another place to do some additional research. So you know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to take a look at Monsanto, court case, West Texas, fertilizer. I'm going to dig around and take a look at that, because like I told you, one of the biggest stories that people follow here at the New American Media, it's genetically modified food. weather manipulation. It's that type of power and control stuff that really freaks people out. So I think, I hope that our listeners are going to dig around on it. You can look into it a little bit more, and so will I, and we'll reconnect when we reconnect on it. Let me bounce here because we're getting short on time. I did mention that I want to talk about Wag the Dog. Have you ever seen that movie, John?
I have. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has. Well, it was a manufactured war. It was during a political race. This came out during the Clinton administration, way back in the 90s, and it was about manufacturing a war because there is no B-3 bomber, and we don't know what's going on in Albania. And all of a sudden, a war was concocted with the Albanians. Well, I didn't know Jim Belushi was Albanian, did you? And this entire war was just created out of nothing. We still don't have answers on Benghazi. In North Korea is threatening specific cities with nuclear attacks, and all of a sudden, the media is talking Chechnya. Why are we talking Chechnya? John, it was just something that struck me this morning is why are we being diverted to Chechnya away from relevant problems that we still haven't dealt with, such as Benghazi and such as North Korea, and we could probably go down to another 10 places that we have concerns on, but I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily have a specific question there, but take it anywhere you want from what I just said.
Well, I don't know where to start, and that from this outfit calls himself Corporate Intelligence. Before the blast, West Fertilizers, Monsanto Lawsuit. The suit filed as a potential class action in the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Texas claimed that Monsanto had artificially inflated prices for its herbicide Roundup through anti-competitive actions. The suit did not relate to strong fertilizer, believed to be at the root of Wednesday's blast. But the last public filing in the case was in 2010. Monsanto responded to the Texas Grains complaint by saying the company didn't have standing to bring the case. So there's always a little bit of fodder out there that'll feed a conspiracy theory.
Right.
So we don't really want to get into that, but it's. I'll just say that it is coincidental that last week it was going to be the North Korean guy going to get us, and this week we have this stuff go on. The gun ban goes away. It didn't even make it through the Senate, which you would have thought that was a slam dunk.
Yeah,
except
none
a
of
bunch
them
of people
did.
were afraid of getting thrown out next year.
Right.
That's the only reason that happened. Monsanto is a huge company. They are very, very well connected to the government. In fact, they've effectively gotten a pass to do pretty much whatever they want in the genetically engineered seed department from the FDA. And it just went quietly by, no news coverage or anything. I'll tell you this much, people, and the news media that you know of is just almost useless. It is sensationalistic, and that's it. I mean, it's the same thing before in the old days, before connectivity became so well established as it is now. They would zoom their cameras in on the freshly spilled blood from a car wreck. I remember seeing this on black and white, TV back when I was a child. I'm thinking to myself, back then, I'm not sure if this is a good thing for a kid to see, but whatever. I mean, every night that they could possibly put a car wreck on, they do. Well, nothing's changed except multiple cameras and all kinds of wonderful video convergence, but it's the same stuff. If it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah.
That's the joke, and it's the same thing today. Problem is that we're so connected, it makes us all feel like it's happening like right next to us, and it's not. There were sad to say that there are as many people and children killed in the course of any month in Chicago as were lost at the Sandy Hook incident.
But that's supposed to be the nationwide model for gun control, responsible gun control. You're supposed to look at Chicago as the model, and it's just like Al Capone days over there. Bodies piling up in the streets every single day. Because when you ban
it's like
guns
4
from
people
the good
dead
guys,
and 20 people wounded with just gunfire, let alone brick bats and knives. But that was just last weekend.
And
killed,
one of the
20 some odd injured.
One of the questions, John, that came up yesterday as we were doing the live Twitter blast, listening to the police scanner, the comment that we got a ton of love on just a massive number of favorites and retweets was just saying, "Hey, Massachusetts, time to lock and load your AR-15s and defend your home and family." Hashtag Second Amendment, something to that effect. Well, why would you need a magazine that can hold X amount of rounds? Why would you need an AR? Well, I don't know. If I identify a bomber with a suicide bomb strapped to his chest running across my front yard, I don't want him to get to my front door and blow up my home. Oh, well, that'll never happen. It just did happen. It just happened. Right on the heels of this gun legislation failing miserably, well, I would not allow that guy to run up to my front door knowing that his brother just exploded a bomb on his chest and has been dead for several hours, and this guy's on the run. I don't want him getting close to my daughter, my son, my kid, my dog, my wife, my friend, my home, or my anything. So I don't know. There was just it was one of those moments where you can look at the folly of the rationale. Well, there was a car accident yesterday. We got to ban all vehicles tomorrow. It's just for the kids. We just got to ban vehicles for the kids. And
oh, sure.
And yesterday was just a great illustration of why you don't try to take guns away from the good guys ever, I thought.
Well, the thing is that I'll go ahead and attack the president rhetorically here. He drapes himself in the children and the grieving parents of children who were lost at Sandy Hook. Yep. Not in the children who were lost, but children and in the parents of children who were lost up there. We still haven't seen the guy that they caught him, that the cops had on the ground. We saw it from the news helicopter, who was sitting in the front seat of the police car going, "I didn't do it." It's like, you didn't do what? I still didn't. Moron. When do you put a suspect in the front seat of a car that you just had to chase through the woods and handcuff and take away?
No, they wouldn't go in the front seat.
Never saw another thing about the guy. Nothing. So this whole gun debate is ludicrous. Before you can lock a population down, you have to take the guns away. That's it. You have to take the guns away. In Switzerland, the only country on planet Earth where it at least appears that things run right, these people have been around for centuries. They're all armed. The cops go home at 5 o'clock. The army guys go doing some maneuvers up there in the mountains, and when it's time for lunch, they all just put their rifles there outside the restaurant and go in. Nobody touches them. What are you, crazy? You don't touch an army guy's gun. People would just look at you like, "Oh, you poor, sick person. Let us take you away before you harm yourself or someone else." Those people have virtually no crime. I mean, there's always going to be an exception. But as long as their society is organized the way it is, that's what happens. Our society is driven by need. Our society is not driven by improvement. Our society is driven by need. We need to protect ourselves. We need security. We need this police department. We need burglar alarms. We need firewalls. We have to have protection. I'm beginning to think that American society is a paranoid American society. Is the self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like first you get free from oppression, then you're so free the societies run around killing each other. Okay, so then we enact some laws, and to enforce those laws, we have to apply more pressure, and then the people go, "Oh, okay." But look at the nations around the world. Which are the ones that run right? I mean, really run right. The ones that have the most means of personal protection in the hands of the citizenry. There was a story when I was a little child about the Santa Claus bandit. This character dressed up like Santa Claus and grabbed a child. And the townspeople saved the child and did in the Santa Claus guy. Now, that's pretty draconian, but public hangings had a distinctively effective deterrent effect on would-be murderers and thieves. You stole somebody's horse, you could be hanged for that, and nobody would do anything about it. And we watch that in the cowboy movies and go, "Oh, this is a cowboy movie." Well, there are a whole bunch of people that happen to be your relatives that lived through some of that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So violence is present in nature. People need to get their minds around that. But what we have to work on now is not necessarily food storage or getting ready for the famine or getting ready for the UFO invasion or whatever it's going to be. We need to just mind our own business. Meaning, our business is to conduct our civilization as best as it can be conducted. I don't mean by idiots. We have to raise ourselves up to where we understand that strength is good and weakness is not. Strength of character, physical strength. Strength is good. Weakness is never good.
Mental,
Nowhere in
physical,
nature will anybody
moral.
find that weakness is a good thing for the organism.
Absolutely not.
So I'm kind of wandering around here, but what I'm suggesting to you is we better get a handle on this government real quick.
Well, there's the historical cycle. I love this quote: from bondage to spiritual faith, from spiritual faith to courage, from courage to liberty, from liberty to abundance, from abundance to selfishness, from selfishness to apathy, from apathy to dependency, and from dependency back into bondage once again. Alexander Tytler. Where are we at in that cycle?
I was going to ask you.
Dependency and bondage. We are right at an unhealthy place right now, John. But where we're at also is we're out of time. So, hey, real quick, who's on the show tomorrow night?
Well, tomorrow night is, we decided that actually, historically speaking, it's Adolf Hitler's birthday, so we're not going to have a birthday party for Adolf. I'm sorry. But we are going to discuss how the drug war will not be won with a couple of different authors. We have 2 hours with each one of them, so it's going to be if you'll excuse the juvenile nature of this title, it'll be a real 420 show, since somebody invented something about 420 and smoking the Mentos, the good herb, the weed. I think these guys were even on the History Channel or something. We thought, this is my younger producer guy, and I said, yeah, okay, we'll do drugs. Doesn't look to me like we're going to stop the war on drugs anytime soon. There seems to be too much money in it for everybody.
Well, John,
so
how
that's
about...
what we're going to do Saturday night.
Perfect. Will you allow me to request, I know you're a former DJ, a disc jockey in a previous existence, maybe some Sublime, some 311, maybe some Cypress Hill? Sublime, 311, Cypress Hill? A little something
Cypress Hill, I got a couple of good ones, but we might have to put them on delay so they can bleep out a couple of parts. But yeah, I'll try. Send me an email with your selections. I'll get some on for you.
Oh, that'd be beautiful. John B. Wells, everybody. Check him out, his homepage, as well as check him out on Coast to Coast. He'll be on the 420 show tomorrow. Check out caravantomidnight.com. John, it's a pleasure as always. 4 months is far too long for us to take in between chit-chat. So I'll give you a buzz off air. I'll get you some of those songs, and we'll talk in a few, pal. Good hearing from you again.
Goes both ways. Take care, Brian.
All right, take care, John. That is John B. Wells, everybody. Like I said, check him out on Coast to Coast. Check us out on Twitter at American_media_. Search The New American Media on Facebook. Like the page. Subscribe, youtube.com/The New American Media. Check out thenewamericanmedia.com. I'm Brian Engelman. This is Agree to Disagree.
You are listening to The New American Media.
Welcome back, netizens, to this newest edition in Juice Media series of rap news journalism with me, Robert Foster. This evening we're actively delving in depth to facts which affect all of us who dwell on this internet. And we've got to give a special welcome to all the ladies and agents from the NSA, ACO, MI5. Glad you're listening in, because today's show is all about surveillance and how it's spreading from the streets into our modems. As we speak, laws are being tacitly written in to implement ways of controlling the expanse of this internet to keep us safe, we're told. But from whom? And will this place ever be the same if these plans go through? To find out, we connect with our first guest to comment on the matter. We're live at the Panopticon with General Baxter. General, son, good to have you back again with us. Explain why the state is spying on us.
My fellow Oceanians, as you know, we've always been at war with Eurasia. Or is it East Asia? Either way, it's war and we need division to wage it. But now the proles are connecting online, bypassing these illusory divisions of race, religion, and nationality.
Sounds grand to me.
It's a catastrophe. Centuries of hard work are being undone, profits are vanishing, and it's due to the internet. It's empowering scarring humanity. We need to get this snafu under control rapidly.
How?
Behold the latest weapon in the war of terror. Our greatest invention since 9/11. Guaranteed to keep us free and safe forever. I give you the surveillance state, ladies and generals. Our secret wires log your key style. Monitor every single number on your speed dial. Rewind straight to your position with facial recognition and pinpoint you within 0.03 of a mile. We've put eyes everywhere without consulting you, keeping you safe whether or not you want us to. Soon there'll be no freedoms left for threatening. Then we'll have won the war. Take that, terrorism.
Brilliant. Thank you, General. We now interview our resident guru, Terrence Moonseed, for a different view.
Greetings.
How does this situation look?
I have one word for you, Robert. Double plus I'm good. The world populace of 7.4 billion are all headed in the direction of Orwellian totalitarian oblivion. My voice is hoarse, yelling about stellar winds, cold chilling them and trap wire weaving through the world wide web we all dwelling in. Face it, the all-seeing eyes in all of our Facebooks like a virus, and in these iPhones with Siri, or should I say Iris. Next in line is RFID devices and mind chips triggered by chemtrails the plague spray the sky with. This time it's too far. Check out the base they're building in Utah, where they'll be storing all your data for over a century. It's FUBAR. And under the outback is an entire tunnel of wires, an echelon base called Pine Gap to hijack our mother Gaia.
Hey, maybe your mother's gayer.
Boo-hoo. Why didn't you just kill yourself like most of your troops do?
That's it. Now you're on the cast iron list.
Hang on, General. Why weren't we informed about this?
Sorry we didn't tell you about our grand plan before. It was meant to be a surprise, under wraps in a store. But some spoil sports had to go and ruin it for all by blowing whistles in spite of the damn law.
Bill, Benny, and Thomas Drake are trailblazers for leaking these tactics.
Hey, civil liberty activists, this is all legal. Anything we do now actually is.
How did-
You can't question my authority thanks to this.
And that shit's global, people. In Australia, it's now legal for the government to store all SMSs, searches, and emails. Australians, it's taking place under your nose. Unless you wake up, all your data are belong to ACO.
Come on, everyone knows you can trust the government now. If you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to worry about.
That might be the case with things that are happening now, because most people agree with most of the laws that are being handed down. But once the Illuminati reveal their agenda for you, this surveillance will enforce laws you no longer consent to. But by then it'll be too late to protest too, and anything you've ever said typed or browsed can or will be used against you.
I'm confused. So what should we do then?
What should we do? Nothing. This is all an illusion. It's just a ride, a delusion, the Matrix, the Maya deceiving us.
You hippies really make our job so much easier.
Sorry to interrupt, but we're picking up a signal from beyond the space-time continuum. Quick, switch on the juice channeling portal. Wait, is that George Orwell?
Good day to you.
Wow, what do we owe this honor to?
I tried to warn you noobs, but I see you are actually fools, or else you thought this was an instruction manual.
Yes, so can you advise us? What would you have us do?
An open and universal internet is the most effective tool you have to address the issues that afflict the world at hand. Therefore, protecting it is the most essential task that stands before your generation.
I think I understand.
Hush, man! You must not lose the internet. Heed this mantra. Who controls the internet controls the data. And who controls the data controls the future.
We're losing you.
I leave you with a tool to use.
An onion? Don't be simple, Robert. This is but a simile. It stands for Tor.
Tor?
Google it. It's for anonymity. This onion router open network helps considerably against tyranny, but its abilities only work if all you use it consistently.
And even if you don't use it, run it so its force swells.
Thanks, Mr. Orwell.
From now on, call me George Torwell. If we'd had such tools when I wrote this, well, it would have been so much simpler to tell Big Brother to go f himself. The mother sucking piece of shit.
Thanks, George Torwell, for manifesting direct from this memory hole of history to impress on us these messages. We're told we need safety, which is precious, yes, but can a society that can enforce all its laws ever progress? Hindsight shows that many figures guilty of thought crime turned out to be luminaries and heroes before their time. But if a surveillance state had reigned then in this form and design, just think of all the progress we may have all been denied. Could lobbies for women's or gay rights have appeared and thrived? Would revolutionary ideals have materialized? Would science have pioneered or even survived if every word had been monitored by thought police and spies? Big Brother brings chilling effects, freezing our collective hopes. He doesn't protect our safety, but protects the status quo and threatens this internet, the one channel yet uncontrolled, whose openness we are now called upon to effect and uphold.
If you're tired of the other stuff, take a look at thenewamericanmedia.com. If you want a sports program that's going to both talk about national stories and care about the Indians, Cavs, Browns, and Buckeyes, come over to thenewamericanmedia.com and bring a couple of your friends.